Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the RailTel Corporation Q4 FY21 earnings conference call. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star, then zero on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Vishal Periwal from IDBI Capital. Thank you, and over to you, Mr. Vishal.
Good afternoon, everyone. To the post result, that is quarter 4 and financial year 21 investor interaction with the RailTel management. From the RailTel side, we have Shri Puneet Chawla, Chairman and Managing Director, Shri Sanjay Kumar, Director of Network Planning and Marketing, and Shri Anand Kumar Singh ji, Director of Finance and CFO. We'll start the session with a brief overview from the management on the results, and then as usual, we'll open the lines for Q&A. Over to you, CMD sir.
Good afternoon, all of you. I hope I am clear because I am wearing a mask. If I am not clear, I'll remove the mask.
So the audio is clear, sir. Please go ahead.
Clear. Thank you. It is a pleasure to interact with you all on the company's performance in the backdrop of annual results of financial year 21, which was declared by the company last Friday. You know, in financial year 21, COVID-19 had impacted the economy in a very big way. Your company too faced challenges, but in spite of that, it was not affected substantially. We could better our performance over the previous year, though had it not been for COVID, the performance might have been still better. The consolidated revenue from operations for the financial year ending 31st March 21 stood at 1378 CR against rupees 1128 CR in FY20, registering a growth of 22% year on year. The telecom business contributed rupees 885 crore and project contributed rupees 493 CR, registering a growth of 18% and 31% respectively year on year. Total income stood at rupees 1411 CR against rupees 1166 CR in FY20, registering an increase of 21% year on year. The PBT stood at rupees 197 CR and PAT at 142 CR, which was higher by 6% and 1% respectively over the preceding financial year. EBITDA for FY21 was rupees 335 CR and the EBITDA margin was 23.74%. Core EBITDA margin was 21.88%. In FY21, the company made a provision of rupees 21.58 crore against impairment loss against rupees 49.3 crore in FY20 and provision for ECL in FY21 was rupees 83.16 CR against rupees 12.51 CR in FY20. The increase in the amount was on account of 100% provisioning of all the debtors due over uh, uh, 3 years. ECL accounted for in the books is non-cash expenditure, and if the effect of the same is taken out, you will observe that PBT for FY21 would have grown by 45%, PAT by 51%, EBITDA by 28%, and core EBITDA by 34% in comparison to FY20. We humbly acknowledge the trust reposed by the investors in the company and would like to assure you that in spite of the challenges still being faced by the country in general and the economy in particular, the company is and will continue to strive to achieve new benchmarks in the current financial year and in the years to come. So with this brief, I again thank you all for joining us on this call and reposing your faith in the company. Thank you. Now I'll welcome questions and answers. Questions from you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. The first question is from the line of Sanjesh Jain from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir, and thanks for taking the call. A couple of questions. First from the business side. On the telecom revenue, which has grown quite strong in FY21 by 18.8%, can you give us a color on how each of the sub-segment has performed, the NLD, ISP and IP1 services in FY21?
See, the NLD has grown by 4.7%.
Okay.
The ISP has grown by 54% approximately, and the IP has grown by 16%.
Okay.
This is the breakup. So all the segments have grown during the last year.
Got it, sir. But a significant growth should have come because of the strong subscriber addition we have seen in the RailWire.
Yeah, RailWire itself has grown by 87%.
Okay. Got it. And how should we see this growth in each of the segments going forward?
Each of the segments will continue to grow even stronger, much stronger.
Okay.
The NLD segment, we have educational institutions lined up with us right now for providing network facilities to them, which we are providing to them. Today we have got 729 institutions which are connected already on our network, and this number is likely to grow quite fast in the coming years, because coming few months, because of COVID impact. And similarly, our VPN segment, which is a sub-segment of this, the NLD, this also is going to is also going up very fast. We have got orders you must have seen from the coal subsidiaries.
Good.
We are executing, for the CCL, for the BCCL, and other coal companies. Almost all the coal sector has come on our network. Similarly, we are providing VPN services to some organizations in the defense sector. They have also, there also the demand has increased substantially.
Okay.
So
Got
this
it.
segment will certainly grow fast. Similarly, the rail wire. In these 2.5 months, we have grown by already 12.5% further.
Okay.
And in the last few weeks, it has, further accelerated. The growth has further accelerated.
Got it. Do you see challenge because our prices are slightly premium to the competition, which is on the rail wire against Bharti and Jio? Do you see that as a risk for your ARPU going forward?
No, we are present in many niche areas where we are able to provide much more reliable services than these operators. In our, our network goes wherever the railway goes, and railway is even connecting the remote locations. So in the coming months, our emphasis is on connecting the rural regions of the country. We have commissioned one of the world's largest Wi-Fi networks, having 60-20 plus railway stations.
Okay.
Out of these 60-20 plus railway stations, about 5,000 are in the rural areas where there is no broadband connectivity, or it is very less. So having developed broadband POPs there, hubs there at these 5,000 stations, now we are in a position to deliver these services very fast.
Got it. And how about IP1?
With IP1, you know that we are now, the government is now going in for trials of 5G and 4G already. Spectrum auction has been there. So the demand for towers and co-locating on our towers will certainly grow.
Okay.
And similarly, the data center services. This year we have increased our data center services have increased by 71%. So this is also, the demand is continuously increasing for data center services because of some recent policies of government for privacy, data on privacy, and to host the data in the country. So this demand is continuously rising. 71% growth in data center sector is, I think, quite good. So all these sectors will grow.
Got it, sir. Got it. On the project side,
similarly, the video conference. Similarly, the IP also contains our video conference service. The demand of video conference services has grown more by 25 times due to COVID.
Okay. And what was our growth in FY21 in video conferencing?
That was 20%.
Okay. On the project side, now that the railway has received the 700 megahertz spectrum, and the government has said that they are allocating 25,000 crores for implementing a private LTE for railway. How should this work for RailTel?
So it is a very positive sign for RailTel. We have been working with the railways for the last few years on this project. We in fact had invited tenders also for this, but in fact, they were cancelled because the technology was, a different technology was later adopted by the railways. So we expect that we have developed an expertise in this. So we expect we'll get a big pie or a big chunk out of this.
So out of 25,000 crore, how much can RailTel possibly get, and what do you see the implementation period for it?
See, LT is not 25,000 alone. LT alone is not 25,000. It is with the collision avoidance system also. So the train collision avoidance system plus LTE, that works out to be approximately 25,000 crores. But of course, TCAS also, the train collision avoidance system also, we are keen to work on that project also, and we are already developing our capacities in that field also. So exact amount, okay, I will not be able to, tell you how much we get, but then it is, substantial one should get out of these 25,000 this in the next 5 years. On a conservative side, one can say that it should be something between 5 to 10 thousand worth of the project.
And this will be all again on the nomination basis, right?
See, that will be, that has not yet been decided by the government, whether nomination or whether tendering, or whether tendering within the government company. That process, how it will be given, is yet to be decided.
Got it. And what will be the tower opportunity for us in this LTE deployment?
That is also a big opportunity, because today 35,000 route kilometers of LTE is sanctioned. So that will mean that approximately 4,000 towers will come up.
Correct.
So 4,000 towers, new 4,000 towers coming up, it gives a dual opportunity. First, revenue will go up from the project side, and second, we will be able to give the tenancies which are spare capacity to the operators like Jio, Bharti, Voda, etc.
Got it. And what would be the capex for the 4,000 towers?
Capex will be around 800 crores or so, but that will not be our capex. That will be basically the investment by the government or the railways.
Okay, so this capex will not come on our book.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Got it. One last financial question before I come back in the queue. The margins in the project business, EBIT margin in the project business in this quarter was only 3.9%. I can understand some part of it could be because of the ECL provisioning. Can you give us a bridge if we just knock out the ECL and see what is an underlying project business margin, EBIT margin or an operating margin for this quarter?
Yeah, my director of finance will answer this question.
The EBIT for project on a consolidated basis on an annual basis was 16%, compared to 9.83 in FY20. So the EBIT grew by 62.77%. Having said that, the EBIT for quarter stands at 3.62 is basically for four main reasons.
Okay.
Number one, there was an income recognition of 25.76 crore in Q3 relating to a BBNL Centage. This income recognition was for 3 quarters. Since we did not have the rate letter acceptance till 31st December, the revenue was not recognized in Q1 and Q2. The entire revenue was recognized in Q3. So 25.76 crore was an income which had come in Q3, but it is not there in Q4. The second item, there are 4, I'll just run through fast. Second item, we had a KFON project, we had a margin of 17 crore on the supply which was made in Q3, which had a 42% margin. This in Q4 was only 2 crore.
Okay.
Third, the COD was recognized up to 4th of January, and that was recognized in similar quarter, third quarter at 15.50 crore, which was recognized only 2.74 crore in this fourth quarter. Due to COVID, the payment was the agency was given advance for payment. So these are the main factors which, if you compare on quarter-to-quarter basis strictly, has led to a EBIT of 3.62. But as I said, on a consolidated basis, our EBIT has grown by 62.77% in the project business compared to last year.
Got it, sir. That is clear. Thank you. I will come back in the queue. I got few more questions, but I'll come back in the queue. Thank you, and best of luck, sir.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Urmil Shah from Haitong Securities. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir, and thank you for the opportunity. So just discussing more on RailWire, if you could share the sub numbers end of the year, and given our outlook of 1 million subs, how do we see the trajectory for the ARPU?
See, in terms of absolute number, 3.6 subscribers, 3.6 lakh subscribers are on RailWire platform right now, and we are growing very fast, and we are targeting around 8 lakh, more than 8 lakh subscribers in this year end, by the year end. So the growth will be, we can see it will be very fast, and the ARPUs, of course, will be maintained in line with the competitors' ARPUs in the market, but I don't expect them to fall in the coming months. There may be a slight reduction, but then it will not be much.
Sure. Sir, and are we reaching a stage, maybe in select areas, wherein we have built a meaningful presence, and maybe competition is now targeting to take subscribers? What I'm trying to say is, are there any pockets wherein we would have established presence and are seeing the impact of subscriber churn?
The last words I could not, subscriber churn you are saying?
Yes, sir. So what I wanted to understand is, are there any pockets wherein we are seeing a meaningful subscriber churn? At a network level, of course, we are growing very fast.
No, churning, meaningful churning, I don't think there is any place where we have got a churning in bulk. We are taking all actions. We are strengthening our network. We are improving our services. So there is, we have recently, revamped our RailWire website. We have launched an app. So all these things we are doing, which are to match any other operator. So there is no reason that people will leave us.
Great, so that was helpful.
Huge numbers. I mean, of
Yeah.
course, few people, one or two subscribers here and there, that always happens.
Yes, sir. Yes. Sir, next coming to our NLD services. So in the last few years, we have seen that VPN services has been the growth driver within this segment. So how has FY21 been, and should we expect that VPN should be able to more than do for the maybe a slight decline in NLD?
There will be no decline in the NLD at all. Whatever minor, you can say, was due to the reduction of the tariffs. But the demand, as I told in the last question, the demand is going up tremendously. The educational institutions in the NLD sector, these lines, long distance lines, that is increasing now. With COVID, that is increasing. The second wave which has come, it is further increased. In next few months, I mean, we are gearing up for giving supplies to a lot of locations in this. And of course, VPN has increased by 19% last year, and this year also, as I told you earlier, that we have got big pipeline which is to be delivered. We have got the coal companies, we have got the defense sector, new areas which have to be provided with VPN services.
Sure, sir, that was helpful. Dear sir, just more clarity on the provision for credit loss. It appears that there has been an increase in Q4. If you could share a breakup as to how much has been in projects and how much has been in telecom. And you had suggested in the previous call that going forward, FY22, the incremental provision should be very less. So commentary on that will be helpful, sir.
Urmil ji, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
This ECL provisioning has been done as per the requirements of accounting standards. Okay. We had a debtors of 886 crore as on 31st March. The company had decided to provide 100% for the debtors which are more than 3 years. The more than 3 years debtors as on 31st March was 92 CR. We had already provided 26 CR up to 1920. So in FY20 we made a further provision 61 CR. This was for the debtors which were more than 3 years. Basically for calculation of ECL we do it on the period basis, within 1 year, 1 to 2 years, 2 to 3 years, more than 3 years. As already said by CMD sir, this is a non-cash expenditure, provision of which has to be taken in the books, but with the realization of debtors, this provision will reduce considering the realization and considering further debtors, but this is the maximum which we have done of 125 CR.
Sure, sir. And what would be the outlook for the same into FY22-23?
For FY 22-23, the provisioning part, more than 3 years data has all been accounted for. The current 2 to 3 years data is around 40 CR. So even if a part of this migrates to more than 3 years, the impact will not be very, very substantial. In fact, what we see is with the realization, with COVID ebbing and data being realized, we may have a negative provisioning for the ECL, which will come on the income side.
Sure, sir. So that will be accounted in other income, right?
Pardon?
When we have the recovery, it will be accounted in other income, right, sir?
Oh, yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, just a small data point within that. Of the 92 CR, if you could give a breakup between telecom and project.
Telecom, the incremental, I talk about the incremental provisioning of 71 CR, right?
Yeah.
12 CR we had done in last year, PL, and 83 was done in this year's profit loss, so incremental 71. 62 is in the telecom, and 9 is in the project business.
Sure, sir. It was extremely helpful. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Romil Oja from Oja Investments. Please go ahead.
So, why has the other
Sorry to
expenses
interrupt you,
gone up?
Mr. Oja. We are not able to hear you clearly, sir. Please increase the volume of your device.
Why has the other expenses gone up? Is it because of the provisioning? The provisioning is in the other expenses?
We couldn't get the question, please.
The question we couldn't get it clearly.
Is why has the other expenses gone up quarter over quarter?
The other expenses includes the ECL portion.
The future portion.
The other expenses includes the provision for expected credit loss.
Okay. And so next year, for the coming year, what sort of growth are you expecting, say, this year and for the next 5 years, approximate?
See, this year we target to achieve around 2,000 CR revenue, and this will grow further, like I told, for the opportunities which are coming in a big way. I only mentioned about the railway sector, but then there is education sector, health sector, where also we are aggressively targeting. We have already started working with the state government in both these sectors. So this year we should be around 2,000, and the next 2 more years, that is, we should reach around 4,000 CR.
Okay. That's very good, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Nitin Padmanabhan from Investec. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, just wanted your thoughts on what was the kind of revenue recognition on content on demand this year, and how do you see it going forward? And the second on the railway display network, your thoughts on those two, please.
See, both these revenue from both the projects, there is one amount of minimum guarantee, and then plus revenue sharing with the railway. Now, unfortunately, last year the train services got suspended. I mean, there was a skeleton service which then grew slowly next year. And this year also, again, unfortunately, the same COVID has again stuck us. So we could not get the we will not be able to get the anticipated revenue, the further revenue sharing from the revenue sharing part of it. But around 60 CR is assured income from the MG part of it, in the COD part. And the RDN project, we are waiting for the situation to improve so that investors are available when they are able to see the footfall at the stations. Only then they will be ready to invest. So we are waiting for some time. We have put it on hold so that we are able to get the right amount. I mean, the amount we are targeting there.
Sure. Sir, but in the content on demand, how much would we have recognized this year? You did mention challenges, but would we have been able to?
Yeah, that was recognized for 1 year, but then beyond 1 year, the operator has asked for deferment of payment. So, due to this COVID.
Sure. So in that context, how should we look at margins for the business? Do you think that margins will come off a bit next year because this revenue will not be there?
No. This minimum has to be there. No? This minimum will be there. Of course, he may not pay now, but then that he will pay later. After all, finally he will have to. It is deferred, but then finally he will have to pay.
You will have to pay. Sure, fair enough. That's very helpful. Now, sir, and could you give some color on the order book that we have at this point in time, and for the projects business, and basically what are the opportunities that are there for the projects business as we go into next year?
The 4,500 crore order book right now we have got, and projects, we have got big projects like CCTV project on Pan India. Already we have commissioned 270 stations, but then the number of stations to be commissioned in the next 2 years is 6,000 plus stations. So that is a big project for the railways, what we are doing. We are doing the Kerala optical fiber network project. We have recently got projects from defense sector also, various organizations of defense, coal sector, some projects we have got, and then we are eyeing education sector and health sector also. The hospital management information system we have started implementing for the railways. We have done this project for, we are doing it for 4 railways, and will take it forward on other zonal railways also. And then, as in the previous question also I mentioned, that the 4G projects of building of a high-speed mobile communication corridor on the railways, that project we will be taking up. Not taking up as completely, but whatever portion comes to us, that we will start. And we are also ready to take up this TCAS, the Train Collision Avoidance project on the railway. So these are some of the big projects which we will be executing in the coming next year.
And the average tenure for this order book would be the same, 3 to 4 years?
See, it is
the execution time frame.
It is different for different projects. Some projects are done very fast, like hospital implementation or the e-office, which we are doing for the railway. This execution time is basically 2 years or so. For LTE, it will be next 5 years or so, and ECAS also, same time frame. And then there will be certain projects like coal, like building up of networks for the coal companies or other companies or other government organizations. That will be in 6 months to 1 year.
Current order book, 3 to 4 years. Execution.
Current order book will be, of course, liquidated in the next 3 years, you can say, by 24.
Sure, sir. That's very, very helpful. Just one last one from my end. The pilot project for that 4G.
One thing which I want to clarify here is that the services continue on top of this.
Yes. So a certain portion of this 4,500 crores will also flow into the services number, is it, or it's on top of that, over and above?
On top of that.
Will be on top of that. Sure. And so, yeah, fine. That's very helpful. Sir, finally, my last question is, you had this pilot project for this 4G network that you were doing. So how is that progressing, and how are things there?
No, as I told earlier also, that pilot project was based upon a European technology. But then the Ministry of Railways decided that we will not go in for a European technology, we will go in for homegrown ATP technology, automatic train protection. Now, since this LT on the pilot section was part of the European technology, so these things were cancelled and now they will be refloated.
Sure. Sir, so wouldn't that actually hit your order book negatively, that 4,500 crore number, or has that been replenished?
That we have not considered in that. Since that technology, since the decision was taken to change the technology just before we went to the IPO. So IPO, we did not count it in our 4,000 CR project book at that time.
Sure, sir. That's very helpful. Thank you so much, and all the best.
This what comes will be over and above. As soon as we get the final go ahead on this, that will be over and above this 4,500.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you so much. Very helpful.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Deepak Goradia from AM Investments. Please go ahead.
Sir, can you throw some light on the Northeast thing? Because we have invested, I think, 500 crores something as per the DHRP, and then we got some money back from, I think, DOT or all that. And in last 2 years, we have also taken some impairment losses. And there is also a note in the account which says that we are taking this unit as a cash operating unit. So idea is that today, with reference to the Northeast project, where we stand in terms of the income or maybe any loss in our accounts today and maybe couple of years down the line, sir.
You see, whatever impairment was to be accounted for has been accounted for. And then whatever surplus material was there, we have shifted it to other projects.
Yeah.
And apart from the support which we got from DOT, etc., now 150 is the net investment there, which is left right now.
Yeah.
So that is basically the capital work in progress.
Yeah. That is CWIP in the
Out
book.
of the network what we have built already and operating,
Yeah.
we are getting orders and we are delivering services on those networks.
Okay.
Yeah, we are delivering services to the state government. Recently we are in talks with the Navodaya Vidyalaya to connect northeast areas where we have got our network present. So this will, over the next few years, whatever investment has been made, whatever network has been laid, they will be put into operation. They are being put into operation actually gradually. So when we expect good revenues out of this, so that the investment whatever is made will be recouped.
Right, sir. Right. And my second question is, sir, with the good increment in the business which we expect in our turnover and also, what are the margins, sir, in which we will play in EBITDA margins, like that, sir?
See, EBITDA margins, we expect them to be in the range of 25 to 30%.
Right. Right. Okay, sir. Okay. Okay, thank you, sir.
Right.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Urmil Shah from Haitong Securities. Please go ahead.
So thank you very much for the follow-up. So I just had a follow-up on the anti-collision system or the LT network which the railway is looking at. So the total opportunity you shared, did I get it right? It's 25,000 crores. And what would be the rollout kind of period for the same?
The rollout for this will be in the next 5 years.
Sure. So the 25,000 crore opportunity is right, correct? And that would be shared among the various players like us.
That will be shared among various players, but we expect that we'll get a big chunk out of it. Since we are already there in the field.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vishal Periwal from IDBI Capital. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. I think just a follow-up on the few questions. I think you mentioned that, in the fourth quarter, you have not accounted for COD. So in the P&L also, we have not booked. And that is basically the vendor has asked for the deferment of it. But when you said, this accounting will happen in FY22, then is the deferment concept which was there in the fourth quarter, how this will pan out in the quarter one or quarter two of coming year?
See, there is for such services which have a direct linkage with the football at the station, there will be some uncertainty. I mean, COVID has hit a lot of places, though in most of the places we are gaining out of that. Since our demand for the bandwidth, for providing lease lines, for VPN, for rail wire has all increased due to COVID. But this is one area where we have been adversely impacted by COVID like many other sectors. So in this there will be some uncertainty since you don't know, I also don't know whether there will be a third wave, whether the passengers will start coming more or no. I mean, there is an uncertainty there. So this is one area in which there will be uncertainty, certainly.
Okay. But is there any timeline which is shared, or if it's only one should only look at COVID, then probably the third wave, or probably like COVID cases going ahead, and then the deferment which the vendor has asked, that will be stopped and he'll start making payment. And
the train services, if they are not normalized, so naturally there will be an impact on this. I mean, from where the revenue will come? The revenue will come from the passengers who will use this service. So we have to be considerate in that. Like all other sectors, the government is very, very considerate towards various companies, small investors, small players, small contractors, I mean everybody. So that we have to take into account the current situation in that.
Right, sir. And then this modern train control system, I think you briefly touched upon that, the equipment or probably the technology which we were earlier planning, we are planning to move to a new one, which won't be a European one. But the current order book that we have of around 4,500 crores, was it not having a modern train control system as a major component of it? I think a clarification will be helpful.
No, that was not having this. Because before we went for the IPO, it was decided by the railways that they will not be implementing this project as on the basis of European technology. So that is why we had removed this from our order.
Okay, sir. And then I think maybe like going ahead, provisioning is something like, it's not giving a true color on the EBITDA and the PAT that we have. At least EBITDA one is like, something, if possible, like, the provisioning instead of like booking in other expenses. I mean, if you can book it below, or probably if it's still booking in other expenses, then can you give in a press release like, how the adjusted EBITDA is, the way you have explained at the start of the call, with the results, if you can provide, that will be helpful, sir.
So if we provide it, assuming that it is not there. You mean we provide assuming it is not there?
No. Yeah, which is true. See, since I think in the last 3-4 quarters, we have been regularly doing it. And it doesn't, it's a non-cash expense, which you have clearly mentioned. And going ahead again, finger crossed, there won't be any such expense. But if it is there, the provisioning part, if in the press release you can provide like what is the number and what is the adjusted EBITDA and PAT looks like, so that will be helpful for the investors.
Press release, I have already mentioned you at the start, but you want that we should give it a press notification. In the note to the SEBI what we had given, in that we had mentioned that one note. In that, of course, this was not mentioned that if we take it out, then this would have been the growth. As I told you, that was not mentioned, but that we have taken ECL into account to the tune of 71 CR, that was mentioned. And that we can clarify. I don't know.
Vishalji,
Yes, sir.
we have mentioned in the provision that was sent to stock exchanges that ECL provisioning is of 80 crore in FY21 against 12 crore. But yes, your suggestion is well taken. Any such cases of non-cash provisioning which are on the high side, we will give a separate press release separately from what we send to the stock exchanges and others, where we will highlight this.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Your suggestion is well taken.
Sure, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's it from my side, sir.
Thank you. As there are no further questions from the participants, we would conclude the call. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of RailTel Corporation, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.